So, in this video we're going to be looking at adding and subtracting fractions. There's going to be 3 separate videos on this topic, and this is the only one we're going to be doing this week, so we're going to take it nice and slowly. Let's look at our learning objectives for today. To start with, we're going to make sure that we can identify if fractions have the same denominator or not. Then we're going to demonstrate how to add and subtract fractions with the same denominator. And then we're going to start to think about explaining how we could possibly use equivalent fractions to add and subtract fractions with different denominators. But we're not going to go into the details of that in this lesson. So let's start by identifying if fractions have the same denominator or not. I'm going to give you just a couple of seconds to see if you can remember what is the denominator. Can you tell the screen now? What is the denominator? Okie dokie. So well done if you remembered that the denominator is the number that is at the bottom of the fraction. We did this a couple of lessons ago. So the denominator is the number on the bottom of the fraction. So, first task, all ready. In a second, I'm going to ask you to pause the video. I want you to go back onto Google Classroom into our classwork for today and click on Task 1, Matching Denominators. For each of the 10 questions, you need to select any fractions which have the same denominator. In some questions, there's 2, or there might be more than 2, 3, 4, or maybe even 5. Have a go at that and pause the video now. Brilliant. How did you get on with that? Did you manage to get 10 out of 10? If you got anything above 7 out of 10, that is fantastic. Well done. If you got below that, maybe you need to have a little practice. Maybe go back over our videos from a few weeks ago, reminding us what denominators and numerators are. Okay, let's have a look at adding and subtracting fractions then. This is a really important fact, and if you are keeping notes from our lessons, you might want to write this down. When adding or subtracting fractions, we only add or subtract the numerator, the number on the top. Therefore, the denominator on all fractions must be the same. And that is really, really important. Okay, so you might want to pause the video and write that down if you are making notes for these lessons. So let's have a look at some of our most basic examples to start with for this lesson. I've kept my important fact at the top of the screen there, so I've always got it to remember. My first example says 1 over 7 add 3 over 7, or 1/7 add 3/7. When we add or subtract fractions, we only add or subtract the numerator. That's because it's a part of a fraction. My first example here is almost like saying I have 1 elephant and 3 elephants. How many elephants do I have left? You tell me that you have 4 elephants. You wouldn't change elephants into something else. You wouldn't say you had 2 elephants. You would just say you had 4 elephants. So you need to think of the denominator, the bottom of the fraction, as your elephants. 1/7 add 3/7 is how many sevenths? That number 7 must stay the same. So really I'm just doing 1 add 3, 4/7. And that's your answer. Done, dusted. Think of your denominator as your elephants. And so that you remember, I'm going to draw for you my little cheeky elephant that I can remember drawing back in school. I don't know if you can see him yet. There's his tail. And there's the water coming up. Can you see him? His little ears. And his bum. That's my little elephant. Okay, let's have a look at the second example. So in my second example, I've got 5/9, and this time it's a takeaway question. So 5/9 take away 2/9. So what's my elephants in this question? What's my denominator? I've got 5 elephants, 5/9, take away 2 elephants, 2/9 equals how many elephants? How many ninths? That denominator has not changed. 9, 9, 9. This time it's a takeaway, so I'm going to do 5 take away 2. And hopefully you can tell me that that is 3. And that's my answer. The answer is 3/9. And it's really that simple. But you'd be surprised how many people would add the denominators or take away the denominators. And that's where people forget and they slip up. So remember my little elephant, and the denominator must stay the same. That's really important. Okay? So, time for you to have a go again. In a second, I'm going to ask you to pause the video, go back to the classwork section for today and click on task 2, adding and subtracting fractions with the same denominator. When you type your answers into the answer box, try and use your number, so for example 3, and then the slash symbol, like that, and then the denominator 9. If you can try and write your fractions like that using the slash symbol, it just means it'll mark it correct straight away. If you're using something different, that's fine, because when I have a look at your work, I can check if it's correct or not. But that slash symbol should be on your keyboard, on mine, and hopefully it's the same on yours. It's on the same one as my question mark. So you're going to do 3 and then slash 9 or whatever the answer is. Also, just make sure you're reading the questions carefully, because on some of the questions it's asking you for the final answer, like on the examples I've just been doing, but some of them it's asking you to fill in a missing part of the question. And if it's a takeaway question, you need to be super careful that you're reading that the right way round. So take your time, especially on the takeaway questions. Good luck with those and pause the video now. Brilliant. How did you get on with those? I know there was 15 questions on there for you. Did you manage to get more than 10 out of 15? Really, really well done if you did. If you want to have another go to try and improve your score, that's absolutely fine. You can always come back to it a bit later on today or a bit later on in the week to have another try. Right then, let's have a look at the last part of today's lesson. So what we haven't done for a while is we haven't looked at any wordy problems. And we need to be able to answer some fractional addition and subtraction questions that are written as word problems as well. And this is the bit I know some of you find really difficult. You can do the maths, but when it comes to taking it out of context, that's where you start to struggle. So I've got a couple of examples here, and then there's some questions for you to have a go at. Let's have a look at the first one. It says, you give 2/7, and I'm going to circle that because that's obviously important, of a box of brownies to Ella. Now, I would never give 2/7 of my brownies to somebody, so this obviously isn't about me. And it also says that you give 3/7 of the pan of brownies to Nick. How much of the brownies did you give away? So I gave, or you gave, 2/7 of the brownies to Ella. And what mathematical symbol do we use for the word and? Tell the screen now, what mathematical symbol do we use when we say and? Yes, we use add. So we gave 2/7 to Ella and plus 3/7 to Nick. I've now turned this massive wordy 2-sentence question into a sum we've just been practicing. 2/7 add 3/7. 2 elephants add 3 elephants. So what's my answer? What is the answer to 2/7 add 3/7? Tell me. Yeah, 5/7. So the answer, how much of my box of brownies did I give away? I gave away 5/7. That is the answer. It is that simple. It's taking the numbers out of the question and working out what I need to do with them. Let's look at the second example then. It says a jug contains 3/4, I'm going to circle that, 3/4 of a pint of orange juice. After you pour 1/4 of a pint into a glass, how much is left? Now this is a little bit different to the other question. It's not asking me when I had the first person and the second person. There's no and in this question. So I had 3/4 of a pint of orange juice. What am I doing with that orange juice? It says after you pour 1/4 of a pint into a glass. So think about it. If I'm pouring that orange juice away into the glass, what's happening to the orange juice in the jug? Am I adding to it? No, I'm not, am I? I'm taking it away. I'm taking away that glass of orange juice. So I'm taking away 1/4 of a pint. And again, once I've worked out the maths that the question is asking me for, I've got a really easy addition or subtraction of a fraction. I've got 3/4 take away 1/4. 3 elephants take away 1 elephant. What does that give me? Tell me the answer. What is 3/4 take away 1/4? Tell me. Yes, it's 2/4. 3 take away 1 is 2, and my denominator stays the same. And that's the answer, 2/4. Read the question, take away from it the right information. So this brings us to the end of the video today, and to end the lesson I'd like you to go back to the classwork section and have a go at task 3, same denominator word problems. Have a go like we have on the examples of taking out the fractions and working out whether I need to add them or whether I need to subtract them. And remember, my denominator stays the same. Remember your elephants. Good luck with those, and I look forward to seeing all your results later this week.